You've been kind, respectful, understanding. You've listened to her problems, been there when she needed you, bent over backwards to make her happy. And what did you get in return? Disrespect, dismissal, the cold shoulder when you needed her most. Maybe she talks down to you in front of friends. Maybe she ignores your opinions, your feelings, your very existence. Maybe you've become so invisible that even when you speak, no one listens. But here's what no one told you. This isn't happening by accident. There's a psychology behind it, a brutal, uncomfortable truth that most men never discover. Machiavelli understood this over 500 years ago when he wrote something that still haunts relationships today. It is better to be feared than loved when you cannot be both. Sounds harsh, doesn't it? Cold, maybe even cruel. But what if I told you that this single principle, this one shift in how you show up in the world, could change everything? What if the very kindness you thought would earn respect is actually the reason you're losing it? Stay with me, because in the next few minutes, we're going to tear down everything you thought you knew about attraction, respect, and how women really respond to men. This isn't about becoming a monster. It's about understanding the game you didn't even know you were playing and losing. But before we dive into the solution, you need to understand exactly how deep this problem goes. You need to see the trap that's been set for you since childhood. The trap that every nice guy falls into without even realizing it. Let me ask you something. When was the last time a woman truly respected your boundaries? When was the last time she stopped what she was doing just because you asked? If you are struggling to answer that question, you're not alone. Most men live their entire lives believing that kindness equals respect. That if they just treat women well enough, listen carefully enough, sacrifice enough of themselves, they'll finally be valued. But here's the brutal truth. Women don't respect kindness by itself. They respect what kindness represents when it's backed by strength. Think about it. The men who get respect from women aren't necessarily the nicest ones. They're the ones who know how to say no. The ones who don't explain themselves to death. The ones who can walk away without looking back. The ones who understand that respect isn't given. It's commanded. Psychology has proven this for decades. The human brain doesn't respond to weakness with admiration. It responds with something much darker. The urge to test, to push, to see exactly how much you'll tolerate. Every time you say yes when you mean no, you're sending a signal. Every time you smile to avoid conflict, you're showing your hand. Every time you explain yourself over and over, you're proving you don't believe your own words. And women pick up on this faster than you think. It's not conscious, it's not malicious, it's biological. Hardwired into the deepest parts of the female psyche is a need to feel safe, secure, protected. But how can she feel safe with a man who can't even protect his own boundaries? How can she respect someone who doesn't respect himself enough to stand firm? The answer is simple. She can't. This is why the nice guys finish last. Not because women hate kindness, but because kindness without backbone isn't kindness at all. It's permission. Permission to be walked on, used, taken for granted. And once that dynamic is set, it's almost impossible to break. But why does this happen? What is it about the female mind that makes this pattern so predictable? The answer lies in evolutionary psychology, and it reveals something most men never want to admit. Here's what they don't teach you in school. Women are constantly evaluating your strength, not your physical strength, your psychological strength, your ability to hold your ground when the world is trying to move you. It happens in small moments. when she tests a boundary and you fold immediately, when she raises her voice and you shrink, when she threatens to leave and you beg her to stay. Each time you fail these tests, you lose a piece of her respect. And here's the cruel part. She might not even realize she's testing you. It's instinctive, primal, written into her DNA by millions of years of evolution that taught her to find the strongest mate, the one who could protect her and her children when everything went wrong. Machiavelli understood this about human nature in general, but it applies to women in particular. When he wrote The Prince, he wasn't just talking about ruling kingdoms. He was talking about ruling your own life, your own relationships, your own destiny. And the first rule of ruling anything is this: you must be willing to lose it. Think about the last relationship you were in. How many times did you compromise yourself to keep the peace? How many times did you bite your tongue, swallow your pride, accept less than you deserved, all in the name of love? Now think about how she treated you during those moments. Did your sacrifice earn her gratitude, her respect, her undying devotion, or did it make her push even harder? The uncomfortable truth is this: women lose attraction for men they can control completely. It's not that they want to be dominated. It's that they need to feel like they're with someone who has options, someone who chooses to be with them, not someone who needs to be with them. Desperation smells like blood in the water, and it attracts predators, not protectors. This is why the guys who seem unavailable are so attractive. It's not that they're playing games. It's that they have standards, boundaries, a life that doesn't revolve around female approval. They understand what Machiavelli knew, that power unused is power lost. When you give a woman all the power in the relationship, don't be surprised when she uses it against you. Now, you might be thinking this sounds harsh, maybe even toxic. But here's where most men get it wrong. There's a crucial difference between being feared and being hated. And if you don't understand this distinction, you'll either remain weak or become a monster. Let me show you the path between these two extremes. Before you storm out and start treating women like enemies, let me be clear about something. Machiavelli wasn't advocating cruelty. He was advocating clarity. When he said it's better to be feared than loved, he didn't mean feared in the sense of terror. He meant feared in the sense of consequence. The fear that if someone disrespects you, there will be a price. The fear that you're not someone who can be taken for granted. The fear that your boundaries aren't suggestions, they're laws. This kind of fear breeds respect, and respect, over time, can grow into genuine love. But love without respect, that's just exploitation with a prettier name. So how do you create this healthy fear without becoming a monster? It starts with understanding the difference between punishment and consequence. Punishment is what you do to someone when they've wronged you. Consequence is what happens naturally when someone crosses a boundary you've set. For example, if she consistently shows up late to your dates without apology, punishment would be yelling at her or trying to make her feel guilty. Consequence would be leaving after 15 minutes and not rescheduling until she brings it up. See the difference? One makes you look weak and controlling. The other makes you look like someone who values his own time. One creates drama and conflict. The other creates clarity and respect. Women respond to men who operate from a place of centered strength. Men who don't need to raise their voices because their actions speak louder than words. This is what Machiavelli meant when he talked about the balance between fear and love. You want her to love being with you, but you also want her to fear losing you, not because you threaten her, but because she knows that good men like you are rare, and that you won't tolerate being disrespected just because you care about her. This balance is delicate. Too much fear, and she'll resent you. Too little, and she'll test you until you break. But when you get it right, everything changes. She starts paying attention when you speak. She stops taking your kindness for granted. She begins to see you not as a comfort object, but as a prize to be earned. And that shift in perception, that's when real respect begins. But here's the problem most men face. Even when they understand this intellectually, they still can't implement it. They still fold under pressure. They still accept disrespect. And the reason has nothing to do with women. It has everything to do with the psychological patterns that were programmed into them years ago. Most men who struggle with female disrespect have one thing in common. They learned early that their value came from making others happy. Maybe it was a mother who only showed affection when you were good. Maybe it was teachers who praised compliance over confidence. Maybe it was a society that told you that masculine strength was toxic and that your job was to serve and please. Whatever the source, you developed a pattern. The pattern of self-abandonment. You learned to abandon your needs for hers, your preferences for hers, your boundaries for her comfort. And now, years later, you wonder why women don't respect you. Here's why. Respect flows from self-respect. No one can give you something you don't have if you don't respect your own time. Why should she? If you don't respect your own opinions, why should she listen? If you don't respect your own worth, why should she value you? The hard truth is that most of the disrespect you experience from women is actually disrespect you've trained them to give you. Every time you said yes when you meant no, you taught her that your words don't matter. Every time you accepted treatment you didn't like, you taught her that your feelings don't matter. Every time you came running back after she pushed you away, you taught her that your dignity doesn't matter. And now she's treating you exactly the way you've taught her to treat you. The good news? Patterns can be broken, but it requires something most men aren't willing to do. Disappointing people in the short term to gain their respect in the long term. It means saying no and meaning it, even when she pouts. It means walking away from conversations that don't serve you, even when she calls you selfish. It means prioritizing your own well-being, even when she accuses you of not caring. This feels impossible at first, because you've been conditioned to believe that your worth depends on her happiness. But here's what you'll discover. Women are far more attracted to men who have the strength to disappoint them occasionally than to men who bend over backwards to avoid any conflict. Why? Because disappointment means you have standards. Conflict means you have boundaries. Saying no means you have options. And options are attractive. Breaking these patterns is just the first step, though. Once you understand why you've been accepting disrespect, you need to learn how to command the opposite. You need to develop what I call masculine authority. And this isn't about aggression or dominance. It's about something far more powerful. True masculine authority isn't about domination. It's about self-possession. It's about being so centered in who you are that external pressures don't move you. It's about having such clear boundaries that people automatically respect them. Not because they have to, but because something in your energy tells them they should. This kind of authority can't be faked. It can't be performed. It has to be built from the inside out. And it starts with a simple question. What kind of man do you want to be? Not what kind of man she wants you to be. Not what kind of man society expects you to be. But what kind of man you want to be. Once you have that vision, everything else becomes a boundary. If you want to be a man who values honesty, then dishonesty becomes unacceptable. If you want to be a man who values respect, then disrespect becomes unacceptable. If you want to be a man who values his time, then time wasting becomes unacceptable. And here's the key. You don't negotiate these boundaries. You don't explain them. You don't defend them. You simply enforce them. Quietly, consistently, without drama or explanation. When someone crosses a boundary, you respond with action, not words. You pull back. You create distance. You remove your presence, your attention, your energy. You show them through your behavior that there are consequences for disrespecting you. And you do this without anger, without resentment, without the need to punish or teach lessons. You do it simply because you respect yourself too much to accept anything less. This is what Machiavelli meant when he wrote about the power of withdrawal. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is nothing at all. Just remove yourself from situations that don't serve you. Stop engaging with people who don't respect you. Stop pouring energy into relationships that only drain you. Women notice this immediately because most men they encounter are so eager to please, so desperate for approval, so afraid of conflict, that a man who can simply walk away becomes instantly intriguing. Not because he's playing games, but because he has genuine self-respect. And self-respect is magnetic. Understanding authority is one thing, but how do you actually implement this in your daily life? How do you go from being the guy who gets walked on to the guy who gets respected? It starts small, with micro decisions that build your respect muscle over time. Start paying attention to the moments when you want to say no, but say yes instead. Notice when you want to speak up, but stay silent instead. Catch yourself when you're about to explain something for the third time to someone who clearly isn't listening. These are your training moments. This is where you practice the art of self-respect. Begin with low-stakes situations. The friend who always shows up late, the co-worker who interrupts you in meetings, the woman who cancels plans at the last minute. Instead of swallowing your frustration and pretending it's okay, try something different. Say what you mean, calmly, clearly. Once. I don't appreciate it when you're consistently late. If you can't be on time, we'll need to reschedule. I wasn't finished speaking. Please let me complete my thought. I understand things come up, but I need more notice for plan changes. Then, stop talking. Don't explain. Don't justify. Don't soften the blow with apologies or exceptions. Just state your boundary and let it stand. Some people will respect it immediately. Others will test it. Here's how you handle the tests. You follow through. If someone continues to be late after you've addressed it, you stop making plans with them. If someone continues to interrupt you, you stop engaging in conversations with them. If someone continues to disrespect your boundaries, you create distance, not as punishment, not to teach them a lesson, but to protect your own peace and energy. As you practice this in small ways, you'll notice something incredible happening. Your confidence grows, your self-respect deepens, your energy shifts, and women notice. They start treating you differently, speaking to you differently, responding to you differently, because you're no longer the same person who tolerated disrespect. You've become someone who commands it. But what happens when you make this shift? What can you expect when you stop being the nice guy and start being the respected man? The transformation is more profound than you might imagine. Here's what Machiavelli understood that most men never learn. Respect isn't something you ask for. It's something you command through your presence, your boundaries, and your willingness to walk away from anything that diminishes you. When you stop trying to be loved and start demanding to be respected, everything changes. You don't become cold. You become powerful. You don't become cruel. You become clear. You don't become a tyrant. You become a man that no woman can afford to lose. The woman who used to dismiss your opinions suddenly hangs on every word. The woman who used to cancel plans starts protecting your time together. The woman who used to take you for granted starts working to earn your attention. This isn't manipulation. This isn't game playing. This is simply what happens when you start respecting yourself enough that others have no choice but to follow your lead. Some relationships will end. Some people will fall away. And that's exactly what should happen, because the relationships that remain, those will be built on a foundation of mutual respect rather than one-sided sacrifice. The women who stay, they'll be the ones who actually appreciate strength rather than exploit weakness. And you'll finally be the man you were always meant to be. Not perfect, not invulnerable, but unshakable in your sense of worth. So let me ask you one final question. In what area of your life do you need to start commanding respect instead of begging for it? Is it at work, in your relationships, with your family, with women? Whatever it is. Start there. Start today. Start now. Because the man you're capable of becoming is waiting for you to stop accepting less than you deserve. And the women in your life, they're waiting for that man too. They just don't know it yet.